The first step in successfully servicing your transmission is choosing the right fluid. I'll be using Mobil ATF 3309 for our drain and fill today. I bought this box of 3309 from Amazon for $68.87. That's a bit much. You can get cheaper brands, but the quality is really good. For your Pontiac vibe, use only those brands that have the T-IV printed on the label. I'm pouring 3309 into a plastic jug until it reaches the fill line, a black mark I made at the top of the jug. That's how much fluid was previously in the transmission, and that's exactly how much we're going to replace. So if the transmission had the right amount of fluid before it was drained, it will have the right amount after the refill. But if you want to measure the amount of fluid with a measuring cup, you can do that instead. The manual says 3.2 quarts for an automatic transmission drain and fill. I'm using a ratchet and a 14mm socket to remove the drain plug. At 100,000 miles, your transmission fluid will oftentimes be very dark, sometimes almost black in color, if you've never changed it before. This transmission is serviced regularly, and the fluid looks pretty good. What you don't want to see is contamination or tiny bits of metal. That would indicate serious problems. I'm pouring the old oil into a plastic jug. Then I'll make a mark at the top of the fluid level. That's how we'll know how much fluid was in the transmission before and how much you need to replace. Make a mark even with the fluid level, then refill the jug up to this line with the new fluid. But first, pour your old oil in a recycling container and take it somewhere when you get the time. Your Pontiac Vibe does not have a separate hole for filling the transmission. You have to use the dipstick hole. Insert a funnel into the hole and pour slowly. Careful not to spill any fluid. To see if our fluid level is correct, it won't do any good to check the dipstick now. The engine must be running to get an accurate reading on the dipstick. We also need to run the transmission through the gears. If your vehicle is on the ground, engage the parking brake. Depress the brake pedal and start going slowly through the gears, about 3 seconds per gear, all the way down and all the way up. Since our vehicle is up on jack stands, we can release the brakes and add a little bit of gas while running through the gears. After 5 minutes or so, the transmission is at normal operating temperature and the new fluid has had time to work into the gears. Now, the fluid level should be at the hot mark on the dipstick. With the car idling in park, check the fluid level. If you haven't driven the vehicle and the transmission is cold, the level should be somewhere between the top of the cold and the bottom of the hot mark, somewhere in that area. If not, keep adding a little bit at a time.